Are paranormal experiences real? Yeah, paranormal experiences are happening all day, every day to tons of different people. Even if you don't think they're happening to you, they probably are. You just don't realize it. You're a paranormal being who is having a human experience in a human body. Paranormal just means like not human, not in this like grounded physical idea of what we think of as human and earth rules. You are a spiritual being. You have a soul that is infinite and it is choosing to be in a human body in this time and place right now. That's what an incarnation is. So, paranormal experiences are spiritual experiences, but we often call them paranormal when they're not so fun. And we call them spiritual when they feel nice and light and fluffy, like you feel like an angel saved you that day, or a really good feeling guide came to talk to you. And people tend to say paranormal when it feels freaky. You could call them all paranoid. You could call them all spiritual. I tend to call them all spiritual because I live in a spiritual world. This is like what I do for work. This is like a big part of my spiritual life or a big part of my life, right? And so I know that even when the experiences aren't positive, they're still spiritual. The spiritual world, just like the human world, has duality. There are good people and bad people. And so you're going to have these mixed experiences. And some people like exclusively have really good experiences, and that is amazing for them. And some people exclusively have bad experiences. If they kept going and did the right things, they could have a bunch of great experiences too, but maybe they're getting discouraged and they stop trying because they're only having bad experiences, which is totally understandable. But paranormal is a spectrum. And you could throw in what we would call like aliens, or some people call ETs, into this paranormal spectrum. I would still call that spiritual, but you can call it whatever you want. Like these words are interchangeable and they're also subjective. And so you could call, aliens paranormal. Okay, well, there's different dimensions, there's time, there's space, there's planets, like there's all kind of factors going on here, but we usually call it paranormal when it feels creepy, right? So paranormal experiences are real. Pretty much everybody has had one. There's just a lot of people who don't talk about it. If you're not spiritual or you're just starting to like have spiritual experiences, you might feel like not very many people are into this stuff and it's really niche. And then when you actually start coming into this world, you'll realize there's so many people out in the world who are not in this world but are open to talking about it. So before I had my spiritual awakening, I felt like nobody was spiritual. I thought it was like 2% of the population. And then I started to open this up to being like my whole life, and it just being like the center of my life. And I would start to go places and, just in introductions and casual talk, just tell strangers that that was my life. And these random strangers who are not identifying as a spiritual person whatsoever will tell you all their paranormal experiences, good and bad. So I would say like almost everyone is having them. Sometimes people block them out. Children have them all the time because they just came from spirit here. So their psychic senses are very open. Sometimes they remember past lives. They're having them all the time, but they often shut them down, particularly in Western societies, because their parents, their teachers, their friends, whatever society tells them that's not okay. So they shut them down. And then they forget that they've had these experiences. But adults can have experiences and shut them down too because it scares them or it just feels not acceptable. And so they shut them down and they don't remember that they have them. When people start living a more spiritual life, sometimes they remember these experiences. Sometimes they shut them down or forgot them because they were scary. Sometimes you're going to remember them, sometimes you're not. But paranormal experiences are real. And I would say like 99% of people are having them, even if they're here and there and they don't remember them. And if we're talking 100% of people, then they're absolutely having them. They just not might be aware that they're having them. But spirit is always working and intervening on their behalf. And they're a spiritual being who incarnated to have a human experience. So at the end of the day, 100% of people are having paranormal experiences because being on earth is a paranormal experience. Whether you came to live a spiritual life or not, your soul is infinite and it's on a spiritual journey. And being here on earth, even if you live the most mundane muggle life in the world, is a spiritual experience, and spirit and your soul are guiding you.